Oh, sweet mother of mercy, he's too strong. Pelgard, please, Pelgard, I know you're watching. Pelgard, please come up, please come up. He needs to be humbled. He needs to be humbled. Stop him, stop, please, Pelgard, please, please, please. A big thank you to our $5 patron, Sin is Lancelot. And a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Before we have this review of chapter 49 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor and leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, and I'd appreciate any support you're willing to give. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Pencil, and here we are review chapter 49 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, which is simply known as Lancelot. And, this color page fire, but also extremely concerning. Like, not gonna lie, when I first, like, I was stalking, like, all day for this color page. Not the color page. I was stalking all day for the chapter, right? Because now I know I can find them earlier, and I like to get these reviews out earlier so I can work on other stuff. So I was hard stalking, and I just saw the color page first. How Lancelot is like portrayed in this almost super holy divine light, like he's like guiding the rest of the group out of darkness, but at the same time he's literally standing over a dead body. Like, I don't know what that's supposed to be. I feel like it's almost meant to be like a representation of the Dark Talismans themselves, but it's literally just this poor four-armed creature that Lancelot apparently shot to death. It's literally covered in arrows, and Lancelot's just staring back at the group like, "What? You got something to say about that? Person, I heard you don't like to kill people. You want to fight me?" That's a great thing. I love, like, Nagama did such a great job. Like, admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of the whole "oh, we don't kill" mentality, but I love how Nagama like has this perfectly opposite character to that, and he's establishing that so early as in the color page, where Percival's just standing there so in shock with Dragon Handle in one hand, and the rest of the gang is staring at him like, "Oh, he's a cold-blooded killer." I think that's great. And also really like his colored outfit. I don't know, like, I remember seeing it in the Lancelot one-shot, but I think he grew into it better, right? Like, it's obviously based off Bond with, like, the direct matching red color scheme, but I think it really works. The red and white works well, and I think his bow actually looks really neat colored. I wasn't sure what color I expected it to be, but I wasn't expecting the black and white, but I think it's really, really cool. Overall, he looks very, very drippy, if you will. I really like the cut. And also like that he like, for some reason, I didn't remember. I knew he was blonde, but I forgot he was blonde, despite remembering his original color scheme. And I think the blonde actually works really, really well with Bond's hairstyle. Like, overall, it's a really, really good design. I think it's probably my favorite design. And this kind of, I mean, it's not was the Lancelot one-shot a Seven Deadly Sins one-shot? I think it was. But, like, if we have to count Four Knights designs, which I will count this, because it is a glow-up. It is a specifically Four Knights design. Like, Gother had a Four Knights design. So, for all the Four Knights designs we've gotten so far, I think this is legitimately my favorite. Just because of how much it seems to fit the character. Like, the shoulders out, the guns shows out, obviously, the bow, the arrow, the haircut, the drip, like, everything works in comparison to where I feel like I have problems. Actually, no, Noskian's is more drippy. I just looked over to the right side of the color page, and Noskian's is way more drippy. The hat, the trench coat, the slat, like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, Lancelot, you a close second, though. You a mean close second, but I don't know, something about Noskian's. He's just a drippeth. I was gonna try to say different and drippy breed at the same time. Let me just stop. So, yeah, really fire color page, regardless. Shout out to Nagama. He's doing really, really good, and I know the color pages actually signify, like, success of the manga, and I'm glad the manga's doing great, because obviously I love it. And we get the next color page, which I still need to talk about, which is Lancelot just posted up. It's like the extension, it's like the full body shot of what we got last chapter. And once again, it's just a full display of Lancelot and his drip, and I really appreciate it. And the thing is, are his eyes, like, Bond's eyes aren't that color, are they? Like, it almost looks like a weird fusion of both of their eye colors, but that's the thing. Alain's eyes were green, and Bond's eyes were red. Does that make this purplish color? Like, it doesn't match the red of his clothes, but regardless, I like his eye color too. Like, Lancelot overall has second best design in the entire series. I still gotta give it to Nonsense, because he's the lord of the drip, but, like, Lancelot, he's looking great. But of course, we see everyone hopping into the chapter itself. We see that everyone's like, huh? Lancelot? I love how they all have different, like, sort of reactions that combo off of each other. Like, Donnie's just like, Lancelot? Like, what kind of name is that? And Percival, Because the thing is, right, we've been following this series for an entire year in our time. But relative to our cast time, this has been like a week. Like, I don't think much time has passed. But still, it's enough time for Percival's main response to be like, your name isn't Sin? He's just like, he's so confused, like, but you told me your name was Sin. What's Lancelot? They don't even have any matching letters. Except for the N. But of course, Anne's like, wait a minute, he's human. And he's drippy. She doesn't say that, but that's what's implied to me. And what I love is that Nasian's notes immediately like, wait, he can't be that much older than us. Like, he's around the same height. He's around the same build. He can't be that crazy, right? But obviously he is. And interestingly enough, like, questions upon questions upon questions, because now with the reveal of Lancelot, especially what this chapter taps into, I don't know where my words went, but especially some of y'all brought up in the comment section last week, now with this being Lancelot, the mind reading, essentially, he never has to have been to Camelot. He's never have to have met Arthur. And this is almost like compounded on the fact of the information that he doesn't know within this chapter, and the fact that he can read minds, because he could literally have just gotten all the information from just reading their character bios in their head. But notably, that, like, so many things we got to go into Lancelot. I literally, the thing is, so spoilers for the channel, I guess, weird thing, but like, I was going to start making videos about like the possible potential of the hybrids. Like, you have not even just the hybrids, the possible characters. Like, I'm even going to make a Gawain video. If he's inheriting Sunshine, I'm going to talk about that. But the thing with Lancelot is I was thinking of certain things he could do with his new biology, and the whole offensive mind reading he does in this chapter is one of them, but we'll get into that. So we see that the main thing I was talking about is how Lancelot does not have to be from Camelot. And that's because somehow, I'm not sure how much of the Dark Talisman's hype is actual valid hype, or how much is just their own bravado. But if they were some sort of elite assassin group within the Camelot Empire, then that means if Lancelot was at Camelot, it's likely that at least Fiddich, the leader, would know about that. But Lancelot is a name he's never heard before, so that seems crazy. It seems like maybe this boy, Sin/Lancelot, wasn't in Camelot at all. He was just chilling. And notably, we get to see that Fiddich is essentially questioning Lancelot's credibility, right? Because obviously he's a different breed. Like, he slaughtered his entire team in a matter of a couple moves and a few shots from his bow. Pretty darn insane. But if he's this well trained, there should be some information about him. Like, if you're able to take out these people with such ease after they've just been healed up to max, you gotta be out there. Like, I'm assuming like your Guild Thunders, your Hausers, your Griamores, especially the Seven Deadly Sins and stuff like that, but essentially their knight profiles would exist because of their accolades and stuff like that. But Lancelot seems to have nothing. And what I love is that Lancelot is just so straight on. Like, I mentioned how, I think I mentioned last review, how Lancelot may have just inherited Black Air Force energy, but I think he may have gotten it from his father. Because Elaine wouldn't say something like this, but I love what Lancelot says here. It's simple. Rumors, you see, are spread by the survivors. Fight me, and you don't survive. That's all there is to it. Like, that was like, Black Air Force energy is just the perfect descriptor here, because no way that's the first thing I mean, to be fair, he did just literally murder 3 people on screen. He did just commit 3 separate acts of homicide back to back before even going fully human. So it does make sense that he would be on that kind of energy, but he says with such a simple smile on his face too. Like, he's proud of the fact that he leaves no witnesses. To be fair, I guess when you're in his line of work, that is something to be proud of. But golly gee willikers, that's like, there's a lot pre-Lady of the Lake. I don't think he'd be on this kind of, like, he didn't kill the human that came and scanned the fairies, right? Like, he didn't do that. He just shooed them off. So something the Lady of the Lake did has got Lancelot on this menace mentality, and I'm loving it. So especially once again, like I mentioned, the contrast between Lancelot and the group. He's on a I do not leave witnesses mindset. Meanwhile, the group is on a, a few witnesses are all right. So I'm so intrigued to see how Lancelot, like, the dynamic of the group here with Lancelot revealing himself, being fully human, all that. It's going to shift so much, and I'm so excited to see where that goes. But of course, we get a little perspective on Fiddich's head. And I love how Nakaba does it, right? To show that we're literally inside his brain, we get like the blackout. Like the rest of the panel is black except for the words. And when he says, "Don't joke with me," we see that in Fiddich's head, he's like, he's not kidding. We have to dispatch him at once. From his bow to melee combat, he's fully left-handed. He has transformation magic, and he can turn between a fox and a human form. So it's going to be hard to aim at him. And like, this is, once again, I praise JJK for this a lot, like letting us into the character's head whenever they go to fight. Because I think something that a lot of modern, not even modern manga, just fiction in general will lose you on is like thought processes. Especially in battles like this, where a little bit of thought would especially be useful against an opponent as mysterious as Lancelot has been shown to be so far. So I love when the mangaka will allow us to just, you know, like open up the character's dome and just like dive in and just start analyzing and breaking stuff down and seeing the way that they think. Because this seems like the way a seasoned warrior would think. You would be taking all the information you've seen so far, analyzing it, breaking it down, and assuming what you can do after that. And of course, you get this nice little like this, like Lancelot is. It's weird. Like, swaggy is the word that's coming to mind right now, but I don't want to use that word. But swagalicious is the proper word I'm going to use for Lancelot. Because the way, like, you can, this is obviously building up to something, but the way Lancelot has this little grin on his face, you just know something's up. Something's up with him. But then we get to see that Fiddich, once again, he's just considering things, right? Like, he's also noting how insane Lancelot's offense is, right? Because he managed to he perfectly aimed for their pressure points, got them with the arrows in terms of Elgin and Birdie, and then with his wall, like literal just physical strength, like a tap to the stomach and a punch to the gut, absolutely dominated Doranok, a tank, if you will. So it's kind of insane of how offensively powerful Lancelot is so far, and Fidch has to respect that, which makes, honestly, it makes me wonder, where was Tomdu's relativity to the group, and what's Fiddich's relativity to the group? Because notably, off the feats that Lancelot's shown, he's willing to be wary. Meanwhile, even though his entire squad got defeated by the kids before, he didn't seem to like perturb. So I guess maybe it's the efficiency that Lancelot took them down with that's likely scaring Fiddich, and makes me wonder, like, how much stronger was Fiddich? If maybe not that much. But we get to see that after all that, after Fiddich has decided on his kill plan, Lancelot asked him a very simple question, like, so homeboy, you done yet? Like, you got it down, right? Like, you know how to execute me? And like, once again, he's just so casual with it. Like, he taps his head, Fiddich vanishes from sight, and notably he appears behind Lancelot, and it's this really cool motion, right? Like, I love how Nakaba draws speed here. Like, he does the traditional speed lines at first, where finishes in one panel, then he vanishes from another panel. But I love, like, it's weird. What would the word be using here? Momentum. Like, the idea that in order to stop himself, like, to gain his footing back, he has to slide and like grind against the ground to actually get some grip, and then lunge off again. Like, usually at some point when characters get really, really fast, they kind of stop doing that. They'll just like leap from point to point to point. Wow, what did I? Wow, wubsy. But like, if you were to run at top speed in one direction and try to instantly stop, you'd crash. So you would have to like slow yourself down, or in Fiddich's case, drag your feet against the ground. So I love it when he drags his feet against the ground, gets that leverage, and then bursts. And then Lancelot, he's covering his movements, like keeping his eyes on him. But notably, Fiddich keeps escaping his range of view. And notably, we see that the gang can't perceive Fiddich's movements, but Sin can. Which is, like, if Sin's perception blitzing, or no, if Fiddich is perception blitzing right now, like, the gap between the group and Sin, like, see, I keep calling him Sin. I'm so used to calling him Sin, just like Percival is, but the gap between Lancelot and the group right now is just insane. Like, if they're just getting perception blitzed by Fiddich, meanwhile Lancelot's just casually moving his head around like, yeah, you're there, yeah, you're there, yeah, you're there. It's insane. And I know y'all were hyping up Percival in the comment section last week. You're hyping up the gang in the comment section, assuming that with the right training, they can get up to that level. But geez, I don't know. Lancelot just seems to be an entirely different tier, possibly like 2 tiers higher. But we get to see that I don't know. Fiddich for some reason reveals his magic here, like literally explains it to the group, and I know that's like a thing in anime, but notably, Fiddich never seemed this like open. He seemed very efficient, so I don't know why he would explain it. But his magic, like I kind of predicted based off his name, it is speed based. He essentially has boost that the guy who got Grey Roaded did. I'm forgetting his name. Hold on. I want to put enough respect. No, I don't. Forget that. I don't like that guy. Dogetto. There we go. My brain just coughed it up for me. But haste. He essentially can boost his speed. He is able to. He's able to add further speed to his well-trained body, and apparently it provides him enough power to cut any and all targets into. Obviously, that's a lie. Do not expect Fiddich to pull up on the Demon King and split him in half if the Demon King doesn't dodge. I don't think that's the case. But the interesting thing is, right? I mean, this is I like out of his entire squad, I'd say that's the least useful. Because this is a magic that you can like train. Like you can just train to be faster than Fiddich. Like his haste doesn't seem to stack itself. Like notably, if it was like a momentum building thing, almost like Ida's gears from My Hero Academia. Like if Ida keeps running, he'll keep getting faster, progressing further and further into more gears. Meanwhile, haste doesn't seem to do that. It just seems to like amp his speed to a set level. So it's hypothetical. Maybe it's a constant 2 times his speed, right? Like regardless of how fast Fiddich is, he'll be able to double his speed. So if Fiddich trains, he could get faster. But it seems if it's just like a flat amp, but actually if it's a flat amp, that's fine. But if it's like a comparable amp, like say Fiddich, if he was half his speed without haste, added haste on, haste would be a bigger amp than it would be now, then that'd be one thing. Or I don't know. It's like the least useful. It's good. Like haste is good. But compared to the rest of his group, even like Tomdu's spear throwing thing was seemingly a bit better because he could like control the spear's arcs and stuff like that. Like he could do a whole ton of stuff with that. And Bergie's illusions could be useful. Dornock's impact could be useful. What I'd say Wither is easily the best out of the entire group. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Like haste is cool and all, and I expected it. And I did call it, but I'm not sure if I want to pick up that phone. It's kind of weak. But of course we see Fiddich lunge in and try to slice at Lancelot. But Lancelot kind of just like kicks away, like kicks off the ground, lands and avoids Fiddich. And then like Fiddich manages to, like, to be fair, I don't know, haste is cool because he's like blitzing everywhere. Like notably he's in one stance with the blade, then he whips it out and then slashes it out. And then like in the motion after Lancelot landed, before Lancelot could hit the ground, Fiddich was already behind him aiming for his next strike. But of course Lancelot, he's just bobbing and weaving. And I think this is a very cool dynamics. Once again, I love the attention to detail that all of Fiddich's sharp movements are leaving dust clouds everywhere. Like he's stopping and dragging with every single movement he's making. And of course Lancelot's just swagging on the dude once again. Like he's purely avoiding everything almost passively too. Like notably, this is actually insane. Because notably, he's not even looking at him. He's just woo, bah, bee. But like Fiddich is moving in multiple different directions, swinging and slicing from high, low, left, right, back, up, down, like all around. And it's just nothing's landing. And I'll even give Fiddich credit. Like he's like, yo, your perception, it's kind of different, my boy, kind of different. However, perception won't allow you to dodge forever. And see, that's the thing that confused me. Is haste a flat amp or does it increase? Because like the after images of Fiddich just seem to grow and grow and grow as the battle moves onward. But the reason I think it's a flat amp is because Lancelot isn't struggling at all. Like he's still just bobbing and weaving the same as he was before. And notably, Fiddich is just confused, right? Because he's like, wait, what is the meaning of this? Like, why am I not even grazing him? And I love how Fiddich, like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did prefer business serious Fiddich more, right? Like the Fiddich that came up, like the moment one of his teammates went against him, he was like, I gotta decapitate you, my boy, and then just decapitated him and was calling it done. The same Fiddich that came up and was like ready to just one shot kill Percival, like that kind of Fiddich, like the one that just seemed purely intimidating off the fact that he was all about the business. Like this Fiddich has saying, "Isn't this fun, Lancelot?" I don't know. I like, it's cool too, but it's more generic. I kind of liked. It's weird though, because I guess like the serious stoic villain is also generic. But I think the way Fiddich was playing it was more interesting. But obviously Lancelot is just like, yo, honestly, I mean, I guess if you're enjoying this, that's cool. But this is just like a nice warm up, kind of get my body loose. And I love how Lancelot even admits, like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, like he's cracking his neck. Not gonna lie. Being a quadruped and being a biped, that's two very different things. It's totally different. And this is true. Like, notably, if this is the first time, even if it's only been a week, like, imagine you had to get used to crawling around on all fours for a week. And now suddenly you're just back in human form and you're being attacked. Like, or like you're back on your feet and someone's trying to shoot you or something like that. Like some crazy stuff like that. I wouldn't blame Lancelot for being a little out of practice. But notably, we see that Fiddich is just thinking his reaction speed is just unnatural. Like at this point, he would have hit anybody. He would have hit Chaos King Arthur if he really could have at this point. Because his reaction speed is just that insane. Once again, it seems like Fiddich is kind of like wanking himself. Like you saw how fast this man is. Like he was blitzing you. What did you really think? Like even with all your magic amps, like you were gonna hit him? He's kind of crazy. But we see that Fiddich thinks like, okay, in this case, can he react to this? And we get a shot of his leg. But then Lancelot like snap. It's the weird thing, right? Because the words say snap, right? Like he's snapping to attention, but he just looks so plain faced and like indifferent. As he just, like, Lancelot lifts up a leg and hard kicks down Fiddich's leg to stop whatever thing that Fiddich was going to do, which was going to be a kick. And notably, Fiddich is like, wait a minute, I didn't telegraph that kick at all. How could he see it? Hold on, let me open some distance. But in that same moment that he thinks, let me open some distance, Lancelot just uses this. Ironically enough, that was a pretty clean maneuver. Because Lancelot uses the same leg that he kicked Fiddich's leg down with to then trip Fiddich in the same motion. Kind of impressive. I don't know why. And I feel like that's cool because, like, hold on. I'm not going to risk it because then my mic will come unplugged. But, like, try to kick forward. Hold that stance. I know I'm asking y'all to do strange things. But, like, try to kick forward with your left leg and then sweep somebody. Or just do a sweeping motion after that, all while maintaining balance. And do that at top speed with your hands in your pockets. Dare you. And once again, like, Bond was a punchy kind of dude before he got Corchu's back. So I love how Lancelot's kind of like the inverse of his father. Like he's kind of Vegetoing it, where he's just like, he kicks down the leg, he sweeps the leg up, and then he kicks. And notably, he sends Fiddich flying with a casual hands and pocket kick. Like he slams against a perfect cube wall, and Fiddich just thunks against the ground. And of course, everyone there, and by everyone I mean the gang, is like, what in the world is happening? Because Percival, arguably the strongest of our group, and probably has the best perceptions. And probably has better like combat speed than Percival. No, she has to have better combat speed than Percival, just because like she has the formal. But then again, Donnie should have comparable combat. Regardless, the person with the highest amount of raw magic and strength and stuff like that can barely tell what's going on, because when Donnie asked, "Did you see that?" Percival's like, I did not do that. And we see that Fiddich is like, I can do nothing to you. Like, what is going on? But then Lancelot, pretty much entirely ignoring the question, is like, hey, let me ask you something. Does one of your friends wear a star-shaped helm? Or no, wear a helm with a star-shaped visor? Let me know. And Fiddich goes quiet and is like, I have no idea what you mean. And apparently Fiddich knows him, but they're not particularly acquainted. And then Lancelot asks another question, like, hey, yo, do you know where... I hate it. I hate it so much. Why did you name him Dubs? Dabuzu. Like, does Dabuzu mean something in English that I just don't know? Like, of all the names to change, right? Because I'm pretty sure Dahlia is Dahlia, regardless of where you go. Meliodas is Meliodas, regardless of where you go. Bon is Bon, regardless of wherever you go. Why did you change Dabuzu to Dubs? Because his name is Dabuzu in Japanese, I'm pretty sure. His name isn't Dubs. Does Dabuzu translate to Dubs in English? Is it one of, like, I think the only name in Seven Deadly Sins that has an English translation? I don't know. It just throws me off every time I read it. Like, the idea of the master craftsman, Dubs. I just can't take it seriously. Like, he loses all credibility for that alone. Dubs. But apparently, Fiddich just has no clue about that. And Lancelot's like, man, don't, huh? And what Fiddich finally realizes that Lancelot can read his mind, which is pretty crazy. I mean, not pretty crazy, because he's half fairy. Like, we as an audience know that Lancelot's half fairy, and we've seen him in the one-shot be able to casually read minds. But still pretty darn cool to see it. And I love how the entire, because then again, Lancelot hasn't grown his wings. And like, Lancelot's already insane right now, right? Like, I'll get to the end of the chapter before I talk about Lancelot, because there's so much to talk about. But obviously the whole crew's shocked, like, wait, he can read minds. Because, you know, not the most common ability. Like, Anne is the closest person who can do that, but she can only, like, tell loosely that someone is lying. Well, not loosely. She can tell directly when someone's lying, and she can see through illusions, but she can't read someone's mind. Meanwhile, essentially, Sin and all fairies, essentially, well, not all fairies. I think heart reading is, like, a high-level fairy ability, but still, he can just tell you're lying by simply reading your mind. And of course, Fiddich at this motion is like, oh, wait a minute, I just gotta go. He drops down the absolute cancel. Perfect cube, gone. And he dips. Like, literal zooms out of there at top speed. And it seems like Nasi is just confident, like, yo, there's just no way we can stop him now. Not even an arrow can catch that man. And I feel bad, right? Because I think Doranok was the main one guiding Sleipnir along. But of course, Sleipnir responds to the leader's call too. So Sleipnir is like, yo, we gotta go to Camelot now. We gotta report this now. We gotta get out of here now. So Sleipnir is boarded by Fiddich. And Fiddich just declares, like, Lancelot, I will make sure your name is known far and wide across Camelot. We'll all be after you. You'll be as doggedly pursued as the fortnights of the apocalypse. And like, hold on. I'll be right back. Fiddich, broski, one of your knight descriptions was literally a mysterious lad with no fixed appearance. Who is a mysterious lad with no fixed appearance? He's one of the four knights, or at least he should. Who knows? Like, the crazy thing is, right? We know that I think Percival's essentially hard confirmed, but no fixed appearance. If Fiddich is under duress right now, so maybe he's not thinking straight. But can you imagine if Lancelot wasn't even one of the knights? Like, I think I'd lose my mind at that, because it makes me wonder who the strange lad with no fixed appearance is, but I'm assuming Lancelot is one of the knights. But the fact that Fiddich can't realize that is kind of sad. Like Fiddich's credibility, Fiddich's stock dropped drastically from chapter to chapter. Like, he peaked about 2 chapters ago, right before the Lancelot reveal, and now he's just dropped. But of course, we see that on the way out, and, you know, Fiddich is trying to dip. Lancelot asks Donnie, yo, my boy, could you slap me that knife real quick? And Donnie's like, you know, I mean, I guess I can, whatever, here you go. And Lancelot just flips the knife and is like, yeah, all right, let me just, and as Percival asks, what are you doing? With a quick flip of the wrist, we see Lancelot just points the knife out for him, once again with his left hand, proving that he is indeed left-handed, which is kind of cool. I don't know, I can't think of many left-handed, is Percival left-handed? Is Percival left-handed? Let me scroll back to the beginning of the chapter. Is Percival left-handed? No, he's right-handed too. So yeah, we don't have many left-handed characters. But we see that somehow, with the pointing of the knife, Lancelot casts Shining Road. And it's this trail of light, a pathway of light. So light speed, early 4 knights. You want to stop? Fiddich calls it light. It's glowing. You know, if you still want to say 7 milliseconds in light speed, they're still just subsonic. You know, it's okay. But regardless, we see that the beam erupts, right? Like, Fiddich declares it's his magic, and Sleipnir is ordered to shake the light off. And Sleipnir admittedly does a pretty decent job. Like, it's going zoom, 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 zoom everywhere. Like, it's kind of crazy how Fiddich is screaming, though. Because, of course, he's fearing for his life. But notably, like, Shining Road, it didn't look that much bigger than our cast. But when it erupts, like, Sleipnir was a gigantic horse. But Shining Road explodes. It literally makes Sleipnir look like a tiny speck within it. And of course, Sleipnir and Fiddich's remains just fall dead. And Lancelot reaffirms, like I said, anyone who fights me never comes back alive. And yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Golly gee willikers, fellas, have we got another 10 out of 10? And indeed we do. However, like I said in the intro, Pelgard, pray on my boy, pray, like, please, just pop out, like, at least just punch him in the mouth. Like if you could do it for me, Pelgard, I would greatly appreciate it if you could just punch Lancelot in the mouth. Like, someone needs to humble this dude, because like he has there's power creep, and then there's Lancelot. Like initially, like a lot of our idea of Seven Deadly Sins level may have been like beginning of series Seven Deadly Sins. Like we all remember, according to whatever Ironside's partner was at that point, like the only person who could have defeated those higher level dead was a Seven Deadly Sins level fighter. However, notably, we had like beginning of series King shown in that shot. We didn't have King Meliodas. We didn't have Adult King. Like that sounds, you know what I mean. But we didn't have like the modern versions of the characters shown there. It was kind of all beginning of series self. So we assume maybe beginning of series Sins. And to be fair, we know like some characters beginning of series can produce this level of force. But Lancelot, just relative to his group right now, is absolutely insane. But multiple things to note. One, I don't think we've seen Lancelot's real innate magic. I just don't. Because notably, transformation is something we know that all fairies can do. And Lancelot is half fairy. So, expect that. Two, we know that at least, I'm not sure exactly, we know magic can be passed down, especially in human cases. Like, Break for Grimoire manifested as Woe. But essentially, it's kind of the same thing. Energy that can be manipulated and produced in certain ways. And obviously, the best, like, human father-to-son example of magic is literally Thunderbolt being produced from lightning or whatever Zarathus's magic is. So I do think that we haven't seen Lance's innate magic, and the thing is, thanks to Fiddich describing that shining road as light, I think that's just chaos powers, or like partial chaos powers. I don't think Lancelot would randomly get light magic. I hate to say, I think he will have some. I don't want to see the things. I don't want to go into my, because I want to talk about Lancelot's potential as a warrior. But multiple things to note about Lancelot. Hasn't grown his wings yet. Notably, even if he had his small wings, he would have holes for them at this point. So it's possible that, and he's super duper young too. So his wings are still an amp that can come for him later. So even if the group does miraculously catch up to him in short order, he can definitely still get stronger. Two, he definitely seems to have some insane level of control over magic and a great understanding of it. And it seems like he has some manipulation over destruction type magic. Because notably, he did specifically ask for Donnie's weapon before he tried to use Shining Road. Like if Shining Road would have done the same damage without that, he wouldn't have asked for the weapon to direct it. He literally would have just fired it. Because we see as he flips Donnie's dagger, his hand is still glowing with magic, so he easily could have fired it off on his own, but the magic amp, he can do that. He still has transformation magic, like all that. The chapter's crazy, because I love how it does, like, sort of complete what Lancelot is as a character. Like, it shows more of his mentality, like the whole, oh, I kill on sight, I will not let you live after our fight kind of mentality. Like, I love that. I love seeing the entire group just being in awe of their new member, or, like, a new member made, an old member made new, essentially. I think that's really, really cool. I'm super excited for the dynamic that's going to pop up between the group now, considering we have a cold, hard killer who can read your mind, and also a whole bunch of softies who are actual kids. Like, Lancelot's likely still 16, because unless time flowed differently within the Lady of the Lake realm, which I doubt, I'm not going to lie. So I can definitely just see this mentality. Like, Lancelot essentially is a hardened war criminal already. Meanwhile, he's running around with a bunch of babies. So, super excited to see that. And honestly, yeah, I don't want to go too in-depth on what Lancelot could have, what he could gain, because I do plan to make a whole video on that dropping soon. So, yeah, overall, I do feel the only thing I would kind of degrade the chapter for, or like take a point off, but I'm not going to. I still think this is a 10 out of 10 chapter. Especially with all, like, this chapter has so many little details in it. From like Fiddich having to like grind his feet against the ground, to the display of Lancelot's casual energy when he uses his powers and stuff like that. The nature of him being like alluded to and shown off. The 2 color pages that smack the entire premise of the chapter, that smacks the hype of knowing that, like, the idea that Dubs is unaware. I said it naturally too. I didn't even say Dabuzu. That Dabuzu is out and about. Like, we just need to look for him. And who is this person with the star-shaped visor? Because I don't think it's Pelgard. Pelgard doesn't have a star-shaped visor. Like, he has spikes on his visor, but I don't think he counts. So who is Lancelot looking for? Like, there's so many questions have been raised. A character that was a threat has been taken care of, and we have a whole new way to go. Like, I'm assuming chapter 50 is going to be Lancelot doing nothing but explaining. And to be fair, he definitely needs to do it at this point, because I'm a little confused. I need some explanations my darn self. But however, 10 out of 10 chapter. Easy, light work. I don't want to go on for too long. But thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come on the channel. Also, do have a Patreon down below. I would greatly appreciate any support you are willing to give. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.